Now, some residents of LaDia near Trade Fair in Accra are accusing the military of brutalities and harassment in land dispute. They accused the military of forcibly claiming ownership of the land belonging to the community. 5 people were detained by the officers 2 weeks ago for erecting a wall on the land, while several structures are said to have been pulled down by the soldiers. Addo has been investigating the issue and now reports.
They are armed and we are armless. They only take you, intimidate you, put you there, then in the evening, then they get you out.
Voice of a helpless resident telling me his ordeal at the hands of the military. He's been detained many times at the Burma camp for supervising the building of structures of his employers. His story is no different from other construction workers at the site who have suffered various forms of harassment. David Abbey recounts.
Well, I was detained from morning till evening. A bulldozer and excavator machine which we were using was also impounded for a week.
Well, I'm in this area, a large swath of land with a few settlements. I see debris of a demolished fence wall in the far distance. It's the latest of a series of exercises carried out by the soldiers this week. I can count 20 of such structures pulled down as I tour the fast developing settlement behind the trade fair. Many private developers are demanding answers, which the military will readily not give.
We'd like the military to respond to this and tell us, whether or not they have a claim. We believe they haven't. They should demonstrate if they do. And if they don't, they should put a stop to the guys who are destroying property.
An aggrieved resident has sued the Defense Ministry at the Accra High Court seeking reliefs for the demolition of his property. Documents cited by Joy News reveal that the land in question falls within a proposed acquisition initiated in 1973. However, the process was not completed. But while the process is underway, a resident, David Abbey, tells me the military has been dumping fecal matter there simply to drive them away. Officials of the Ghana Armed Forces have declined to comment on the issue. But the residents are asking the military to use the due process to acquire the land. For Joy News, Kwetenate, LaDia.
The Inspector General of Police is meeting with the police commanders in the Kechi municipality to discuss the security situation there. This follows complaints about the increased crime wave in the area and the recent escape of 7 criminal suspects from police custody. Correspondent Ivy Setoji joins me over the phone with some detail. Hello, Ivy.
Hello, Kemini. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. What more can you tell us about this meeting?
Well, after the IGP's visit, the chief of the town, that's Addo Amenya Fiti, said he was very happy with the IGP's visit and they are ready to work with his men, that's the police. But he also needs an urgent attention. There is an urgent attention that is needed on the high rates of crime in the municipality. He feels this is becoming too much, especially in Aflau. And the residents still insist that because they realize there is a high rate of crime in the district, they are appealing to the IGP to transfer all the policemen, or they want a mass transfer of the police personnel from the district so that they can bring new people to the district, so that this maybe with that the high rates of crime will come down a little bit. So that is what happened today with the meeting between the Togbi Fiti and the IGP.
Well, what assurance did the commanders give the IGP to reduce the crime rates in the Kechi municipality?
Well, he said they are doing everything possible to bring lasting solution to this crime rate, but they also need the support from residents to help them to keep this situation.
Did the issue of the escapees come up at this meeting?
Yes, but they said they are still doing their best to rearrest these people. As at now, they don't have anything. Some of the chests are still on social platforms, social media, so that they can rearrest these people. The Togo police are also helping, and so the commander is still insisting that they need the help of the residents to help them get back this criminal.
Indeed, I'm grateful for your time, Ivy. Ivy Setoji is a Volta Regional Correspondent. Now, legal practitioner Sampson LaDia says it is about time some other parties involved in the Woyome scandal are invited by the court to testify in the case. Ms. Ayenene also believes that any person who thinks the Attorney General has been biased in her pursuit of justice in the case involving businessman Alfred Woyome should summon Mrs. Marietta Brewer Pielpon before the General Legal Counsel. He was speaking on the Super Morning Show on Joy FM earlier today.
The allegation is that in the end, the amount that he is said to have fraudulently procured was procured for himself and for the entity that the Attorney General's firm represented. If it was procured for them jointly, and same was, as it were, shared jointly amongst them, if there are facts to that extent, then I think that the issue becomes even more serious. And particularly where it then does suggest that there may be a need to bring in the other party who was in charge of the Austro Invest, as you referred to. And that is where I think that then the issue might get a lot more serious, and that there may be a genuine case to look into as far as the claims are concerned, and to be looked into on the back of the legal professional conduct and etiquette rules, particularly Section 510, which frowns on a lawyer acting in conflicting interest. If that is what it is, then I find that there appears to be a very serious matter coming up. And even though I find that also the appropriate place to then lodge a complaint will be to the General Legal Counsel to seek to activate its disciplinary committee to look into whether the case is properly made and that sanctions would apply to the Attorney General.
The opposition New Patriotic Party has mounted a strong defense for 2016 flag bearer Nana Akufo-Addo following an allegation that he kept 2 state vehicles after stepping down as Foreign Affairs Minister. Pressure group Inside Ghana, which makes the claim, is demanding Nana Addo pay 798,000 cedis for the 19 months he allegedly used the vehicles. But in a sharp rebuttal, Communications Director of the NPP, Nana Akomia, told Joy News' Kwachi Alfred Nuyama the accusation has no basis.
And this is a funny party. Otia J, he goes to buy vehicles that he claims will be used for to inspect rural electrification. Many of those vehicles are luxury vehicles. He appropriates one to himself. People are demanding that that was wrong and that he should pay for it. The NDC as a government is in their interest and in the interest of governance that Otia J is dealt with. What do? They appoint him a board chairman, and then they now make reference to Akufo-Addo, an issue that was supposed to have taken place 6 years ago. 6 years ago, that they've suddenly remembered that Akufo-Addo also used a car 6 years after the event. You've been in power for 6 years. But be that as it may, there have been so many reports in 2009 about the ex-ministers and officials, which were not true. I myself, I was a minister of state. I was living in a government bungalow. When we left power, I had returned the keys of the bungalow to the Public Works Department. 3 weeks later, I heard my name being mentioned by the Ministry of Works and Housing that I had kept the bungalow and I hadn't returned my keys. When I had returned the keys to the Public Works Department 3 weeks earlier, so I came for Joy FM, your reporters, and showed them the receipt, and we went to the Ministry of Works and Housing for them to retract the story. So many stories were said about ex-ministers that were not true.
Is it true that Addo kept these 2 cars?
No, it is not true. Now, if you remember, Addo himself, 2 of his vehicles were seized by the state. I'm sure you remember. And at the end of the day, President Mills himself sent him an apology. So if anybody should complain about cars that were seized, it should be Nana Akufo-Addo. 2 of his cars were seized in 2009. And they kept the cars for a while. Then later on, they realized that the cars were his personal cars. And President Mills himself, through Ayariga, apologized. So, I don't know where this is coming from.
So you think perhaps it's an attempt by the NDC to sort of equalize following Otiaje's?
Very, very clearly. Instead of dealing with the Otiaje's matter, they've gone to some matter that's supposed to have taken place 6 years earlier. But you've been in power for 6 years. If you thought that it was an important matter, why have you sat down until now for Otiaje's matter to come up? Does it show sincerity? Does it show a government that is sincere, that is objective, that is ruling with the principles of fairness in government? Let them show from the records of the Transport Department that Akufo-Addo or whoever kept the car for 2 years that they are saying. Yeah, they're asking for proof. And in any case, if they want to go to court, why? The courts are open. Do they need to threaten anybody? They should go.
Now, the Attorney General, Marietta Brewer-Pierpont, has denied accusations that she omitted declarations affecting Austro Invest and Madame Betty Maud Idrisu. Martin Amidu explains Madame Idrisu's conduct in the fraudulent payment had been declared unconstitutional by the Supreme Court at the time the current AG filed entry of judgment in the case. According to Mr. Amidu, Madame Pierpont's former law firm, Luther Brewer & Co., were lawyers for Austro Invest, a joint beneficiary company with Woyome, making the AG biased and unfit to lead the appeal against Alfred Woyome in the 51 million cedi judgment debt saga. Now, these and many other revelations are captured in a rejoinder Mr. Amidu wrote to Graphic Online. Francisca Kakra-Forson shared details of this rejoinder with me earlier.
Camille, so let's explain the basis on which he's making these accusations. In the statement, Mr. Amidu says that because later Brew and Company were acting as lawyers for Austro Invest, they assumed certain obligations, and these obligations are to protect the interests of Austro Invest. That's the Attorney General's firm who will be protecting the interests of Austro Invest. And because of that, Mr. Amidu is saying that she lacks the impartiality or the objectivity to represent the Republic of Ghana in any case involving Alfred Woyome. And we know that the AG has said that she's going forward with the appeal against the acquittal of Alfred Woyome. He explains that she will, in her official capacity, be more inclined to prosecute or amend charges which will protect Austro Invest at the expense of Woyome and even, if possible, the state. Now, he talks about Ray Smith. Ray Smith is a British national who's resident in Ghana. And Mr. Amidu says that he's a sole shareholder of Austro Invest and also has shares in Waterville. Waterville is a Ghanaian company in which Alfred Woyome acted as an alternate director. Mr. Amidu is asking a question. He says, why is Mr. Smith not treated as a suspect in the criminal case? And we knew that in the criminal case at the High Court, it was Mr. Woyome who was the suspect, who was suspected to have caused financial loss, etc., etc. So he's asking why Ray Smith, whose company is a joint beneficiary to Mr. Woyome and Waterville, and they sought for this money, were not part of it. Now, he's suggesting that the relationship of Luther Brewer and Company as private lawyers to President Mahama, who appointed Madame Marietta Brewer upon as AG, should not be overlooked. He's saying that Ghanaians cannot be faulted if they speculate that because of this relationship among these persons, the president, the firm, that's Luther Brewer and Company, Ray Smith, and the NDC government, in the whole Woyome scam. He's saying it's the fundamental reason for the unprofessional manner in which the criminal and constitutional matter is being handled and also was handled. Now, committee, Mr. Amidu cites a letter dated 18th August 2009. He says this letter was signed by Mr. Woyome on behalf of Austro Invest, that's the company the AG's firm represented, and on his own behalf. And they wrote to the then Attorney General, that's Madam Betty Moldi Drisu, and made a claim to be paid 51 million cedis in judgment debts. Now, we know Mr. Amidu has been in court personally about the 51 million cedis. He's been at the Supreme Court, and he says he filed a writ to include Austro Invest as a defendant in the case, but that was not allowed. And so he did some investigations. He caused some investigations to be done. And what emerged was that Austro Invest was liquidated in 2011, indeed 26th July 2011, and no longer existed. And so he couldn't be served with that notice.
Now, the fisherman who got the Supreme Court to force the postponement of the district-level election says he took the action to defend his political rights. Benjamin Mensah sued the EC after officials in Winneba refused to allow him file his nominations, claiming he did not meet the deadline. But he took the EC to court, claiming the commission had rather moved too soon. His victory at the Supreme Court cost the EC and the Ghanaian taxpayer about 317 million cedis.
The man popularly known in his community as Adishe has seen a surge in his popularity recently, thanks in part to his case against the Electoral Commission. The Supreme Court on February 27 ruled that the district-level elections scheduled for March 3 be suspended because the constitutional instrument used by the Electoral Commission had not matured. The Supreme Court also ruled that the EC starts the process all over again. Benjamin Mensah is not fazed by critics who think he should be faulted for the huge cost of the postponement of the election.
Sunday, by 8:80,
I went to the polling station on Sunday at 8:30 a.m. hoping to submit my forms, but there was no one there, though a table had been set up. I went back around 11 a.m. Still, no one was available. I made about 7 visits to the station, but I didn't meet anyone. When I went there for the last time at about 5:30 p.m., the setup was no longer available.
He added the court became the only suitable option after all avenues to resolve the matter with the EC failed.
I was very worried I could not submit my form because it meant I was being disenfranchised. So I hired a lawyer who wrote about 4 letters to the Electoral Commission asking them why they did not allow me to file my nomination. But they would not budge, so we decided to do whatever we could to get them to do what was right.
Short of rendering an apology to his colleague aspirants, Mr. Mensah said any of them could have suffered the same fate, hence the need to take steps to prevent a larger number of aspirants from being disenfranchised.
Watch out for his full story on a human rights program, ICE Rights, this Saturday at 7 p.m. here on Joy News. Now, our top stories here on the program. The trial of veteran broadcaster Kwesiche Dakwa adjourned to April 22. Attorney General Marietta Brew-Apon denies omitting declarations affecting Austro Invest and Madame Betty Moldi Drisu. Inspector General of Police meets police commanders in the Kechi municipality to discuss the security situation there. My name is Emmanuel, another small when I return. Thanks for staying on the program. Now, trial of veteran broadcaster Kwesiche Dakwa has been adjourned to April 22. Mr. Dakwa is standing trial for alleged rape. His accuser, a 19-year-old woman, alleges that KKD forced himself on her in a hotel bathroom in Accra. A court correspondent, Anio Sabote, was in court earlier and is here now to share some details of this. Adani,
Hi.
what happened in court today?
Well, look, essentially what happened today was that, remember, at the time that the magistrate court watched, 8 hands of the case and handed it over to the High Court. The understanding was that the trial process will begin today. Today, all of us made ourselves available to the court, but then from nowhere, the state prosecutor, Malik Walanyo, informed the court that they still need enough time to put themselves together. And she also talked about the fact that because of if you consider the fact that it's a trial non indictment, it also means that there's the need for a jury to be constituted, and that has not been done yet. And therefore, they would rather seek leave from the court, go and come back. So they wanted an adjournment. That didn't go down well with KKD's lawyer, Tony Forson. And Tony Forson said, he was unhappy with the fact that if anything at all, he had prepared himself to come to the court to see the opening of this particular case. Unfortunately, they will have to go back again, because if anything at all, he would have wanted that, he would have expected that the lawyer, the state prosecutor, would have called him, as an act of courtesy by within their own ranks or their own circles of legal professionals, to say, you know what, because of ABC, it is not possible for us to begin the process, and therefore, let's come to the court, agree, and speak to the judge, and then we can seek leave, take an agenda, and come and begin the process. So he was livid about the fact that, out of the blue, appear more or less like he's been ambushed with this whole new adjournment.
When are we looking at the jury being formed?
Well, let's, from what now, as it stands now, it means that when we go back next month, 22nd, the jury will be ready. The information I have is that the jury will be constituted by the court, and also the composition will not necessarily mean that those who were witnesses to the incident in December at the African Regency Hotel, but the court will decide based on your person's competence, and then they will invite them. Now, the difference is that the jury will deal specifically with the facts on the ground, then the lawyer or the judge in the person of Bright Mensa, Justice Bright Mensa, will look at the issue of law, so he will direct. However, the lawyer for KKD will have the right to raise an objection. For example, if he feels that juror ABC is not good enough, or I think that he will compromise whatever that we have to defend my client, they will raise an objection about that. Yeah.
I see. Now, thank you very much for sharing those details with us. But let's get further understanding of this. I'm joined over the phone by private legal practitioner Maurice Ampao. Thanks for joining us here, Lawyer Ampao.
Afternoon, my sister.
Now, what is this trial by jury?
Okay, trial by jury is a way by which the ordinary person is given opportunity to participate in the administration of justice. These jury are ordinary people who will be assembled. Normally they are 7. They are ordinary people who will then determine the guilt or otherwise of the accused person. So normally they are selected through the ballot box, and then they are be given opportunity for the accused person to look at them and to raise objection. And then after raising objection, he has the right to raise objection. And then at the end of the day, if they are able to constitute these panel members, they are the ones who are going to determine the case. They are the ones who are going to pronounce guilty or not guilty. The judge's only duty is to guide them and direct them, but not the judge has no right whatsoever to interfere in the process.
When is the use of a jury necessary for a trial here in Ghana?
Normally, the criminal code says that when the crime is a felony, a first-degree felony, normally it's a serious offense, and therefore we at times want the ordinary person to also feel like they are judges. And if you have 7 people all determine that you are guilty, then it means that the other person feels that the accused person is guilty. You see, because most of the times we allow technicalities. When you have lawyers and judges only determine the guilt or otherwise or accused person, there's this feeling that they use technicalities, and another person is not given us an opportunity to also participate in the administration of justice. So it's an opportunity for us to have other people sitting down, listening to the case, looking at the evidence, the direction from the court, and then deciding whether the accused person is guilty or not.
Layampa, when we look at KKD's court case, is this a typical case which requires a jury?
Yeah, definitely, because you realize that there's a process that we are going to. We've gone through a committal stage where the district court then let's look at the evidence, look at the witnesses' statements, look at the law, look at the facts, and then the district court judge realized that KKD has a case to answer. And the district court said that go to the high court and then go and then do the formal trial where the judge will have the opportunity to examine the law, the facts, and then the jury will have the opportunity to determine the guilt or otherwise of KKD. So this is a normal criminal trial when the case is of a nature of a offender like murder, rape, piracy. These are tried by jury.
Now, how often are juries used in trials here in Ghana?
Normally, they are used when the case involves a first-degree felony and cases of that nature, murder, rape, manslaughter, piracy, and hijacking.
Is it a frequent practice in yes. Our trial process?
Yes, it's a frequent practice. And normally, initially, we normally do it during a criminal trials. There are times when the court will set days aside, normally during the vacation or minute after the vacation for that special trial to go on. It is an opportunity where we give the other person the test of being a judge. So this time the judge only sits and guide the other person and explain the technicalities, explain the law to the other person, but then leave the other person to determine whether the accused person is guilty or not. We've witnessed some at Sampson trial. We have this. These are important import. So it's not part of our tradition, but it's an import from our colonial masters.
How are the jurors put together?
Normally, everybody is a potential juror, but there are qualifications. Normally, we have all people who are registered, voter register. No, they set up a way of having everybody in the voter register. So the jury, the registrar of the court then invite people in a particular area to bring names. On a random basis, the names are brought and then they are balloted. And once the ballot comes, you are written to that, look, you have been nominated as a juror. So you come and then there are qualifications. You must be about 25 years old, and then you must understand the English language, and then you must be somebody who is not a member of parliament. You should not a judge, there are so many, not a busy person. If you are a busy person, a teacher, we want ordinary people who have time. Ordinary people who have time to come
in the case of Mr. Dakwa, what dimension does this new development give to the case?
It shows how seriously the state attached to the case. It shows that this is a very serious first-degree felony case. Therefore, we want a situation whereby there will be transparency. We want a situation whereby the other person will feel that justice is being done. We want a situation whereby the process will be so transparent that the law will be brought to the doorstep of another person. The other person will have the opportunity to determine the guilt or otherwise of KKD.
But that does it not also open up for whoever constitutes the jury to be able to corrupt the jurors?
No, because what they do is that after they've elected this jury, the accused person is given opportunity to raise objection to 3 of them without giving reasons. And then when he raises objection without giving reason, they are another reballoting. Then after that, he must give reasons why he want to object. Failure to do so, they tell the accused person that these are the ones who are going to determine your guilt or otherwise. Now, the jurors are being told that this is a very serious matter. Therefore, they are very independent. They should not be compromised. We have a way of protecting them. They should not allow any influence here or there, because the judge will explain, the duty of the jury and what is ought to be done. So we end up monitoring them and ensuring that they are very independent and they will not be influenced whatsoever.
I see. Thank you very much once again for your time, Lawyer Ampao. Let's talk about Lackawanna. A suburb of Accra, which is still living in filth 3 months after Joy News' sanitation advocacy program threw a spotlight on that community. The community was one of the focal beneficiaries of the sanitation campaign that sought to address insanitary practices residents lived in. Derek Akosam visited the area and reports that residents have gone back to their old ways.
Between March and December last year, we were here as a team, Joy News on Multi TV. We wanted to teach the people of Lackawanna what they need to do to stay healthy and to have a cleaner, healthier environment. It's been 3 months since we ended the Clean Communities project. Today, I have come back to Lackawanna to see things for myself, to get to know whether or not what we taught the people has been useful. The gutter is in the same state as the team met it last year. Residents tell me the only way to solve the insanitary problem is to stop residents who live in the community and its environs from throwing solid waste into the gutter. The other alternative is to put a sieve at the mouth of the gutter to stop solid waste from entering the gutter. Some residents still use the beach as a place of convenience. For these people, the only solution to this is to get some public toilet facilities in the area. They complained that the private toilet facility operators charge between 40 pesos and 1 Ghana cedi, amounts they see as exorbitant. But one activity still stands. The residents come out twice a month to clean up the area.
The young men still defecate at the beach. They say they can't pay 50 pesos just to ease themselves. I will advise everyone to build a toilet facility at home. It is difficult to fend for ourselves, so we can't pay 50 pesos to defecate. That's why some people still use the beach.
The fishermen still clean up the beach. The rains are here, and we'll have a lot of dirt here. All we ask for is a bin to dispose of the rubbish we gather.
From what I've seen, it may take a longer period to turn the shores of Kaklamadu into a Copacabana. So until authorities step in, the state will continue to lose huge sums of revenue that could have been accrued from visitors and tourists who visit these beaches. Derek Akosam, Kaklamadu, Accra.
Now, the Food and Drugs Authority has placed a ban on celebrity endorsements of alcoholic beverages. The FDA says those who flout the ban could face a fine of 25,000 cedis. My colleague Beatriz Addo has been speaking to some FDA officials. She's here with me in the studio. She'll share her experience with these FDA officials with us. Why are they placing this ban?
Because they think that the work of celebrities has the potential to influence people who are below 18 years.
Who are they describing as a celebrity? Who falls within that category?
Just to be clear, the FDA is saying that it is not targeting all celebrities. The FDA is targeting those they describe whose work would influence people under 18 years. And they talk about people who are popular. And they also gave an example of somebody like Kwame Jokoto, who has come out to say that he's been banned by the FDA. And they are saying that he is a popular person and the kind of work he does, according to the FDA, whenever he does something, children would want to do it. And they wouldn't want such celebrities in his in his group to influence people negatively.
How long have we had this in our books? Does it exist? Where is the FDA getting its backing from? Is it legal back?
Yes, it's interesting you asked this question because this same question was put to the head of public relations, James LaDia. I spoke to him and he said that it's a regulation that has been there all this while. It's just that they feel this is the time for the FDA to implement it. So that is the only reason. They feel that there have been other areas the FDA has spoken about, including the ban on celebrities, you know, advertising alcoholic beverages. It looks like they've spoken a lot and nobody is listening, and so they feel this is the time for them to take some action. And as you rightly said, if you flout that, you have to pay the 25,000 cedis.
But the alcoholic beverages are already for persons above 18 and they are written on them. Why the need for the ban?
Well, I mean, that would be something you would want to find out from the Advertising Association of Ghana, for example, because they are supposed to regulate when to, you know, play these kind of adverts so children don't get to hear them or see them.
I see. Thank you very much, Beatriz, for sharing this with us. We'll follow up with this story and bring you more on subsequent broadcasts. But to come, Baba Tando will bring us some sports stories. Don't go away.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Baba Tando. Let's talk sports on News Today. Now, Ghana's beach soccer team, that's the Black Sharks, they are returning from Entebbe, Uganda in a few minutes, and they participated in the first ever qualifier for the CAF Beach Soccer Nations Cup. Now, Ghana defied all odds, including financial constraints, to beat Uganda 9-6. Now, new sports minister Dr. Mustafa Ahmed, he is actually at the airport to meet the team on arrival, and he will join you on phone now. Hello, Dr. Mustafa Ahmed. Good afternoon. Hi, Yao. Good afternoon to you. We are speaking to the president of the Ghana Beach Soccer Association, actually, Yao for Anchor. Hello, Yao.
Hello. Hello. Good afternoon.
Hi, Yao. We understand that the team is arriving in a few minutes. Now, we know that they defied a lot of odds to go to Entebbe, Uganda, to beat them by 9-6. Now, can you just share with us some of the odds they had to defy?
If I can hear you right, you're making reference to the challenges.
Definitely, yes.
Yes. I mean, I think they've put that behind them. They would need to rest after the match and the trip, and tomorrow they'll resume camp to prepare for Uganda on Sunday. So, confident of winning and qualifying, but certainly not complacent or taking things easy. We've not qualified yet. That's one thing we must remember. And I think the boys are very determined to qualify for this maiden AFCON Beach Soccer Tournament. And that's what we've seen in their recent performances, where they've won back-to-back for the first time. So they've arrived. They're just going through immigration formalities, and they'll be out very, very shortly.
Yeah, and I'm told, I'm reliably informed that with you as the new sports minister, Dr. Mustafa Ahmed. Is that true?
Well, actually, the interesting, when we got here to wait for the boys, a lot of two supporters groups, I'm not too sure which ones they are, but they're, you know, in national colors, were here making a lot of noise. And apparently the minister was driving through and he asked what was happening, and he was told that the beach soccer team is arriving. And he said, oh, that's great. He will stop and welcome them, which is fantastic. So it wasn't an invitation. It wasn't planned. He's just decided to also welcome them. And I think that's a fantastic gesture. The players will be shocked and surprised that they're getting this sort of reception. And I think they would now realize how important Sunday's match is. So indeed, Dr. Mustafa is around. He's just a few feet away from me. But of course, he's declining to talk because this is not an official engagement.
Sure. But yeah, what has he been telling you?
Well, he seems to know what's happening with beach soccer. He said he's been following the exploits, you know, and their challenges, not just recently, but in the past. Remember his former constituency in Nima, they have a beach soccer team, one of just two non-coastal beach soccer teams. So he is quite aware of beach soccer, and for him to be here to wait for the players, I think is fantastic. And I'm also very humbled by this gesture by the incoming sports minister.
Thank you very much, Yampo Fuanka. We'll get back to you in our subsequent bulletins for more updates, especially if the team does return from this odyssey. Now, we move away from beach soccer and get to the ongoing Africa Youth Championship in Senegal, because later today, the age-old rivalry between Ghana and Nigeria will be rekindled when the two sides take to the pitch in Leopold Sedar Senghor Stadium to play in the first semi-final match of the ongoing African Youth Championship. Now, earlier today, my colleague Gary Al Smith was at the premises of the Ghana Football Association where he interacted with a few members of the Football Association, as well as the Black Stars. That's the chairman of the Black Stars Management Committee now, George Efriye. Remember, before becoming chairman of the Black Stars Management Committee, he was the under-20 or the Black Satellites Management Committee chairman. And Gary will join me on phone to tell me what the interaction was all about. Hello, Gary. Good afternoon.
Baba, thanks for having me.
All right. Now, tell me, what has George Efriye been telling you?
Well, George Efriye, like you rightly said, used to be the boss of the Under-20 Management Committee, and he is well aware of the kinds of emotions and the way the team are preparing in Senegal ahead of the kickoff. That will be at 5 p.m. today. And essentially, he was saying that no matter what happens today, we should commend Celastete and the boys, because they've done a good job in terms of getting out of the group stages and qualifying for the World Cup that will be held later this year in New Zealand as well. So he was full of faith for the side, and he was confident of the team's ability to beat Nigeria later. But he was well aware of how good Nigeria have been. Don't forget that they've been one of the highest scoring sides in the competition. They scored 9 goals in just about 3 games or so. And he was optimistic of the fact that even if the Black Satellites don't win today, they could do a great job for the continent later.
Thank you very much, Gary Al Smith. And just still an update from Senegal in the ongoing Africa Youth Championship. Coach Celastete has handed goalkeeper Michael Sai his first start for the crunch semi-final match of the African Under-20 Championship against Nigeria this evening. Now, the goalkeeper replaces Mutawakilu Seidu, who kept the post in Ghana's 3 group matches. Now, the introduction of Sai is the only significant change in Coach Celastete's starting lineup for the match. Now, here is the full starting 11. Michael Sai in post, Owusu Bempa, Patrick Asma, Joe Addo, Joe Ajay, Kofi Yeboah, Asiedua Tobra, Clifford Abuaje, Benjamin Tete, Yal Yeboah, and Prosper Kasim. They will be doing the battle against the Flying Eagles of Nigeria at 5 p.m. or 17 hours GMT. Wrapping it up for sports. My name is Baba Tando. Up next is business. Have a good afternoon.
Now, government is optimistic that Ghana will meet the global deadline to migrate from analog television broadcasts to digital terrestrial television. According to the Deputy Minister of Communications, Atusapon, government has deployed a digital video broadcasting terrestrial 2 infrastructure in which each broadcasting firm will be given a specific frequency to operate. He also says digital boxes will be out on sale shortly, well before the June 17 deadline.
We decided that we are going to deploy what we call a digital video broadcasting terrestrial 2 infrastructure. We also decided... Which means that we have terrestrial 1 infrastructure. We have a T infrastructure, what we call terrestrial infrastructure, a normal digital terrestrial infrastructure. Yeah. But with time, they enhance it, they improve it, so that it can do a bit more than what it is doing today. Okay. So currently, when you take a particular TV station, a terrestrial TV network, that terrestrial TV network is assigned a license, a frequency band to operate within. Okay, either a VHF, very high frequency, or a UHF, ultra high frequency band to operate in. Now, each broadcaster currently will be doing about 6 to 8 megahertz of spectrum. We'll be using about 6 to 8 megahertz of spectrum in analog.
Yeah, so other English versions to
yes, in analog. It's a band. So we'll give you a band and say, okay, you're operating from 160 to, let's say, 167. So okay. Assign you 5 megahertz of spectrum to operate in. So in order for broadcaster A not to interfere with broadcaster B, each broadcaster is given a specific frequency. So you have your own road.
Yeah.
So currently we have 21 registered entities with the National Communications Authority providing broadcasting services. Under digital, each digital band of the same 6 to 8 megahertz, which one broadcaster is using, if we structure it well, we'll be able to take one multiplex of 20 broadcasters. When we move from analog to digital, the signal, the transmission will be digital. But your TV set may be an analog, or even if it's a digital TV, it may be a terrestrial one, T1 TV set.
So every TV would work?
Yes. What we have decided, no, let me explain. What we have decided is a T2. So for you to receive the digital signal onto an analog TV set, you need what we call a converter. That converter is what people call set-top box. To receive, so that converter will be the first equipment that will receive the signal in digital, convert it to be able to be compatible with your TV and speak.
Attorney General Marietta Brew appeal upon denying submitting declarations affecting Austro Invest in Madame Betty Mould Idrisu. Inspector General of Police meets police commanders in the Kechi municipality to discuss the security situation. Thanks for staying through on the program. I'm grateful for your company. My name is Kimini Nyamani Amano. Visit myjournline.com for more news. Bye-bye.